Did you know that being part of a big celebration like Christmas releases a chemical cocktail in your brain that works just like a natural party drug? In this video, we're going to explore how hormones like dopamine and oxytocin can transform your mental health with zero side effects and turn the good vibes all the way up.
Have you ever stopped to think about what's really going on behind all the festive cheer of Christmas? Today, we're going to unpack the hidden psychology of the holiday. We'll look at why a character like Scrooge might be more real than you think, and how ancient rituals are still shaping our celebrations, whether we realize it or not. Right, so let's kick things off with a story I'm pretty sure we all know. Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, and of course, its legendary grump, Ebenezer Scrooge. We all know how his story ends, right? He goes from this cold-hearted, stingy miser to this incredibly generous guy. But here's a thought. What if that famous change of heart wasn't some Christmas miracle at all? What if it was actually a predictable psychological reaction that science can explain? And that brings up this really wild question about our own human nature. How on earth can the fear of death, of all things, actually push us to be more generous and even kinder? Well, this whole idea is so well documented that psychologists actually have a name for it, and you might be surprised who it's named after. Yep, they call it the Scrooge effect. It's basically the switch that flips in our brains. When we're reminded that, we're not going to be around forever, we tend to become more generous. And this little effect, it's part of a much bigger idea called terror management theory. Terror management theory sounds intense, right? But the idea is pretty simple. It suggests that our deep down fear of death is a huge motivator. It pushes us to find meaning in our lives, to feel like we're part of something bigger. And a great way to do that? By leaning into our cultural values, by being generous. It kind of gives us this feeling of purpose, almost like a piece of us will live. And scientists have tested this in some really clever, if maybe a little morbid ways. Take this classic study from 1996. Researchers went out and interviewed people about charities. Now here's the twist. Some people were interviewed right in front of a funeral home. You can't get a more direct reminder of mortality than that. And guess what? Those people rated the charities way more favorably than the people who were interviewed just a few blocks away. Crazy, right? Okay, so this deep need for meaning doesn't just explain why one person might suddenly become more generous. It helps us understand something way bigger. Why we, as a society, even bother with huge collective celebrations like Christmas in the first place. Think about it. These big celebrations are like a powerful tool for our collective mental health. I mean, they're not just fun parties. They actually reduce stress, they make us feel like we belong, and they help us build up the resilience we need to get through the tough times. They really forge that shared sense of identity and purpose. And this quote really nails it. Celebrations aren't just fluff. They are absolutely essential for a culture to stay strong. Especially after something difficult happens, these shared rituals are what rebuild our collective spirit and give us hope again. And this universal need for a big party in the middle of winter? It's so powerful, so ancient, that it's actually much, much older than Christmas itself. A ton of the traditions we think of as pure Christmas actually have roots that go way, way back. The holiday we celebrate today is this incredible mashup of traditions from all over. You had the ancient Romans with Saturnalia, a whole week of feasting and giving gifts. Then you had the Norse with Yule, celebrating the sun's return. It wasn't until the 4th century that the Christian church came along and said, hey, December 25th, that's Jesus' birthday, and kind of absorbed all those popular pagan traditions. Fast forward to the 1800s, and writers like Charles Dickens basically reinvent the whole thing again into the cozy, family-centric holiday we know today. It's actually wild when you look at it. If you compare the old Roman festival of Saturnalia with our modern Christmas, the parallels are just undeniable. Huge feasts? Check. Giving presents? Check. Getting a break from work and school? Yep, they did that too. So many of our cherished traditions were happening long before the very first Christmas. So this long, long history of adapting and borrowing and changing, it all helps explain why Christmas has transformed again in our own time into this massive global cultural thing that's celebrated by tons of people who aren't even Christian. Just get a load of this statistic. A study in Iran, a country where Christians are a tiny minority, found that a whopping 90% of people buying Christmas trees were not Christian. That just goes to show you how far the holiday's cultural influence has spread, totally separate from its religious roots. So, why is Christmas such a global hit? Well, sure, a big part is just commercialization and the fact that, hey, shiny lights and decorations look great. But it's deeper than that, isn't it? The core ideas, generosity, family, hope, those are things everyone, everywhere can get behind. In a lot of ways, Christmas has just become this perfect shared excuse for all of us to connect and find a little joy. So, here we are. We've gone from inside Ebenezer Scrooge's head and his very personal psychological journey, all the way back to ancient pagan rituals, and then right into the modern globalized Christmas that we see all around us. And all of this leaves us with one final big question to chew on. What's the real meaning of a tradition? Is it about its ancient origins, where it came from thousands of years ago? Or is it about the purpose it serves for us right here, right now? The connection and meaning we find in it today?
All right, folks. Thanks so much for sticking around till the end. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop a like. It really helps me out. Make sure to subscribe so you won't miss the next one. And leave me a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts and chat with you. See you in the next video. Take care.